Hi, I'm Milton Chang of Bonsai Heirloom. I'm happy to do another Q&A this week. Please send me your questions. I really enjoy doing them so I can be helpful to you so that you make better bonsai to get excited about it. Bonsai is an excellent hobby, and besides, it promotes community relationship where people at bonsai clubs share best practices. Please send me your questions and I'll try to answer them each week. And like my video, I like encouragement. Thank you very much. The first question this week is about moving a bonsai from warm climate like Southern California to a cold area like Illinois. Side interest, I actually went to the University of Illinois in Champaign-Urbana, although I must say I don't have any firsthand experience on cold weather bonsai keeping. From what I know, from what I read, it's not that big a transition, especially this time of the year when it's warm. Just grow them as you are in Southern California. And I'll tell you a story about winter in Chicago. Professor Emmett Leith, who is the big professor at University of Michigan who invented holography, I knew him very well. And he actually brought a citrus tree, an orange tree, from Southern California to Michigan. And what he did is he planted an orange tree just outside his bedroom window. And he showed me a picture of him opening part of the window with a bed sheet covering the tree outside through the winter. And the tree actually in the springtime would flower and bear fruits for him. Not very many, but he's so happy to have them. So to me then, it's not that big a deal to keep trees in a cold area, although I think it's good practice based on what I read to move the really more tender ones or more precious ones into your garage in the wintertime, or cover it with some kind of a plastic sheets or something to prevent it from a little bit too much of the direct winter. So it shouldn't be a problem. Great video. Can you recommend the books you like to read? So here are a couple books. My Bible is John Naka's book, Bonsai Technique 1 and 2. They are becoming out of print, and you can get them on eBay, maybe for over $100, around $100. This is an excellent, more recent book, Bonsai, The Art of Living Out Sculpture by Jack Dermott. It had a preface by Warren Hill, who is from Southern California, a director of the National Bonsai Museum for a while. It has excellent photos, and you can see of just about all varieties of trees. Now, there are really two purposes on going for bonsai books. One is for technique, and I hate to say this, but there are a lot of wrong misinformation there that's been propagated, everybody copying each other, about culture of the bonsai trees. I recommend you listen to YouTube's my video because I'm really sharing best practices after making a lot of mistakes. So that's for technique. But for styling, there are really two excellent sources. One is the two shows that I really think is great. One is the annual Japanese Bonsai Society show, and then the other one is an annual show in Japan, in Taiwan, which are posted on YouTube every year, and these are really fantastic trees. I think the Chinese are less likely to follow rules. Therefore, the trees tend to be more creative. In fact, that's my trees, has the Chinese influence. I'm Chinese. So I think that will cover both what you need in terms of bonsai. But aside from that, YouTube has got a lot of good photos of what other people did to give you ideas, design ideas. The next question is about how to use, is using grapevine for bonsai. And this person wrote and said he started a grapevine tree that he bought from a nursery. I think that's really too much work. It would take quite a while for that tree to become to have a substantial trunk. What you will find is that there are a lot of old grapevine, grape vineyard or grape nursery that are going out, that are quitting, and they have really old stumps. that you can get, and those are great material for turning into bonsai. I did a couple of those when I started maybe 40 years ago. Neither of them made it. I think that didn't know how to take care of them. But so it's not necessarily easy, but I've seen grapevine, old trunks with grapes hanging on it. It's really quite pretty. What about foliage feeding? Fertilizing, I think that's a great idea. Why not feed them through the foliage as well as from the roots? Then the next question is that, I like to use, I'm in Canada and like to use native material. Any suggestions? Well, I think that's a great idea if you can find old native material. On the other hand, I tend to stick to the traditional material for bonsai that has proven to be spectacular when they mature. When you use a new material that's not proven, it could be hit and miss. But on the other hand, why not give it a try? You may be a pioneer. And then grow them like using my soil mix and all that. But on the other hand, talk to your local nurseryman. They may know a little more about native trees. This viewer requests that I do some pine trees. I will do that. Like this is a pine tree I started about 15 years ago, and you can see it's really growing. The needles are growing very nicely. I'll show you how I cut it back to shorten the needle. You can see the needles are really pretty uniform and pretty short. It just improves over the years. The next one is how to survive the trees that you dug up from the wild, how to do a Yamadori. I will show you today, actually later, do a Yadori, what I call tongue-in-cheek. Instead of Yama, which means mountain, I do a Yadori, which means like a tree from the yard. And many of you can do the same, so I think that would be a good example. No different, I had zero luck with the California juniper. I used to go out with Harry Hirao to dig trees about maybe 40 years ago. None of them survived because there's so little roots and you really have to treat them with care. What I would recommend today, based on what I learned over the years, is to plant them in this proven mix for cuttings, which is 1 part in perlite, 1 part in vermiculite, and plant it purely in that and water it every day or every other day. And I think your survival rate may be quite high. On the other hand, be cognizant of the fact, leave some spectacular tree in nature for other future generations to enjoy. That's why I'd rather do the Yadori, because it's from my garden turning into something, just ordinary into something extraordinary. So I encourage you to do that, and I will show you some video of that. Oh, this is to say when to chop up a deciduous tree for bonsai and also for repotting. I would say any time of the year. There's general belief, and it's by and large true for playing safe, is to repot and cut up trees in the fall or in winter months or early spring, because that's when trees are growing vigorously. You're less likely to kill a tree. But on the other hand, repotting and digging up a tree, I think the trick is to compensate for the root loss with the cutting off as much branches as possible so that the leaves doesn't dry out the tree, so to speak. I've seen China, they do massive replanting. They would dig out trees, a massive tree with a little root ball in any time of the year, because they cut back the tree's trunk so tremendously, it looks so ugly, but then it grows back in time. So my answer to you is that the preferred time is spring and in the fall and the winter time, but in spring and fall, I think that's the best. Actually, anytime if you take care about the compensation of the roots loss, preserve the moisture by keeping your plants in the shade until they started growing. One quick question was, how many trees do I have? I would say I have 50 pretty nice trees that are in pots, maybe 50 that are in growing pots that are really nice, even better than these. And then I have hundreds growing in the ground and in nursery pots. I enjoyed the growing process. I have never sold my tree so far. And I want to tell you that I started Bonsai Heirloom to, in fact, make trees available because I think there are a lot of material that are not very good out there that discourages people from continuing bonsai. But it takes time to grow these trees. So look out for the offering we'll make. And I think you'll be pleased with what we have to offer. That was a great video. I enjoyed the content. Would you do the same maple, and from what age, about breaking branches to create interesting features? Well, you can break the trees anytime, they will heal over. So for example, a juniper, the branches are pretty stiff. If you have a branch that's going this way, you're trying to make it go that way, it's nearly impossible. Frankly, if you carefully, you cut a little bit first and then you start to break it, you actually break the trunk maybe a quarter way or halfway, the branch will survive. And then you get it like as if the branch is drooping down by weight of the snow. It looks very, very natural. But in time, let's say in a couple years, it will not be noticeable at all that you broke it. In fact, it will heal very naturally. And one of the impressions I've created is I don't do wiring and do only clip and grow. It's not quite true. I will do wiring. I do the clip and grow because I found pulling a branch down with wire or string is much more natural because how the branch droops with weight. On the other hand, if I'm preparing for a show, I really don't have time for the branch to go into to fill out the area I want. So I will do wiring, but do it judiciously. And if you do it, don't believe what they say, keep it for a year or two. Remove it about, I would say, a month or two. You will find that the branch will stay put and then it will grow out naturally again. So it's a combination of clip and grow and wiring. Frankly, every technique is good. Use it in your toolkit to maximize the result. Why not, right? So enjoy your bonsai. Do clip you like my video. I do need the encouragement and I need the subscription. So please subscribe to my video so that I will send follow-on video notices to you so that you won't miss the good stuff. Okay, thank you.